to have businesses there. I know I've talked to a lot of people, and between having businesses and keeping it rural, people don't, it seems like some people want growth, some people want to keep it rural. With 48 square miles, we have a big expansion for rural. Rural is going to be there. We can't possibly be a Blaine, so it's not a worry here. Keeping that business in on that corridor is exactly, I think, what we want. That will also help sustain our tax base. So I think the Highway 65 corridor is where we want the businesses, keeping the rest of East Bethel rural. It's kind of perfect how it is right now, other than growing some business along 65. I have to go 20 minutes. Every single one of us has to go to a grocery store somewhere. And between going, to St. Francis, Cambridge, down to Blaine, over to Forest Lake, I would like to see us keep some of that here. Spend some of our time, valued time, right here in East Bethel. It said go. I'm not sure what that meant. Oh, we got you. It's right now it seems like a drive-through city. You just pass right through. It's a drive-through city. I'd like it to be a little bit more than a drive-through city.
Okay, and I will recap that again. As I say, go ahead and start the answer. You'll have 2 minutes to answer. She'll flash you a card that says go, but it does say
It says 30 seconds on it.
Okay.
With 30
And
seconds.
then stop when it's due.
Okay.
Kevin, same question.
Well, businesses are very important in the future of East Bethel. As I posted a bio on Facebook, I guess we all did. But cities pay approximately twice the property taxes that residential properties pay, and they require less services than the average household. So, but the difference is, people usually talk about it in terms of retail, like a business where you can go spend money. What we're interested in is businesses like Aggressive Hydraulics or Classic Construction, where you can go and earn a living while staying in East Bethel. So you get the benefit of a solid corporate citizen like either of those companies, and you have an opportunity to work locally instead of commuting down to wherever. I know I can't speak for other people, but I despise commuting. And fortunately, toward the end of my career, I didn't have to do much. I could work from home. But it was a pretty tough way to start and end your day, driving through traffic. And as far as pursuing it, you have to have a vision of what you want before you can really pursue it. And you go out and once you realize that's what you're after, you can go and this is the advantage of someone like Matt Look, our city administrator, who's a former chairman of the Anoka County Board of Commissioners. He has a lot of contacts, and he had a business himself for 22 years in Anoka County, which he's from. So he's got a lot of contacts that will help us pursue that vision of attracting businesses, going to the fairs, and meeting with the business owners. That's about it.
Thank you. Artie?
Well, I agree with both my fellow members here, but I think we got to be a little more proactive in the way we go about the Highway 65 corridor, because we need to invest right now into it just to bring into these businesses. I mean, our businesses only they're only like 5% of the gross acres of East Bethel. Where residential's at 18, and our corridor for zoning of the core of East Bethel is, that's a 25 acre or 25% area of the city. But that's not all going to get built at once. I mean, it might take 50 years before you ever fill that in. It'll be way beyond our times. But I think we need to act soon, start investing, trying to find land for these commercial, industrial areas, and invest in them and move forward that way. Our other developments out in our rural, they're going to happen, but you look around our city, there ain't a whole lot of big plats out there for our housing divisions anymore. So we need to offset our taxes, like Tammy said there, and we need it through our business in the Highway 65 corridor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our first question from the audience goes to Kevin Lewis. The question reads as follows. When will you actively seek new businesses on Highway 65? And they give two examples, a grocery store or a pharmacy as businesses. When will you actively seek new business on Highway 65?
Well, as I just said, when you define your vision, it's a lot easier to go after it. But in the case of grocery stores, everybody knows this. It's not a matter of us going out and bringing in a grocery store. If the numbers make sense, they'll put up a store. And it comes down to the number of people. I mean, I would love to have Costco out on 65, maybe to the north, you know, instead of having to drive to Coon Rapids or Maplewood, where my wife goes. But that's strictly driven by the number of customers you can draw in economically. So there's nothing we can really do to bring a grocery store here. Oh. Okay, there's nothing we can really do to bring a grocery store here that the grocery store developers aren't already paying attention to. When the numbers make sense to them, they'll be here. So as far as other businesses go, it's a matter of going to business fairs where you first specify what kind of business you want to get, and then you pay attention to what kind of fairs they attend, and you go to those fairs and you meet the business owners.
Thank you. Alrighty, same question. When will you actively seek new businesses on Highway 65?
Again, like I said, we need to be proactive and look for it immediately, but like Kevin said, you got to go out there and solicit all this, and you're only going to get a handful that might even look at it. Most of the time, these bigger developments, they'll come in as a big developer, and he'll bring in the grocery store with them. And that's what you need to kind of go at too, is that these developers that'll buy up like a corner of our northwest corner of 65 or 22 and that. I know Amcon at one time, years ago, looked at that corner. Those are the people you need to find, is get the developers in there to bring the other stores with them.
Thank you. Tammy, same question?
I agree with both these guys. I obviously would be immediately that you would want to do that, but same thing applies. City of East Bethel doesn't open a grocery store, and everyone knows that. So it would be to make it pleasing or appeasing to a business to open a grocery store. So I do believe the person who owns the county market in St. Francis also owns a chunk of land, and it would be making it pleasing for him to build it there. I know they look at rooftops. There's definitely enough rooftops in East Bethel to have a grocery store here. Like I said, everyone here has to go shopping somewhere, and why not it be right here? So I didn't know anything about actually the vendors and stuff that you go to, but it would just be making it pleasing for them to come here, giving it a reason. I know councils in the past have not been very business friendly, and it needs to be business friendly. As a mayor, you're one person on that board, and so you can only do so much, but would that be something that you could start out with aggressively? It is. That is something I would want to start with aggressively, because I do believe that a lot of people want a grocery store in the city of East Bethel.
Okay, next question will be from the Chamber of Commerce, and we'll start with Kevin.
You want to start with Artie this time?
We're gonna go left to right.
Yeah, I did the last one. I just don't
you
want to
started
steal it from Artie. That's,
The first question was with,
Oh, wait, that's right, we're on third question, sorry. Artie. Thank you, volunteer moderator, what can I say? All right, Artie, thank you for the help, Tammy. All right, what do you believe is the top priority that needs to be addressed in the upcoming 24 months for the greater good of the city of East Bethel?
Well, I think we've all said that already. I mean, we've got to really push to get that corridor. First off, we got to get the first phase of the sewer and district filled in. I mean, just them two projects that are starting right now will actually pay down our $2 million bill that we owe Met Council if we can get them two filled in here within the next year, and that'll offset that to where we can pay that bond off early. And from there, like I said, we got to invest and find land and make the infrastructure for business to want to come here. If we don't have the infrastructure, they're just going to leapfrog us like they have in the past.
Thank you. Tammy,
Could you ask the question again?
what do you believe is the top priority that needs to be addressed in the upcoming 24 months for the greater good of the city of East Bethel?
I believe the top priority would be communication in the city of East Bethel. I believe it would be open communication, transparency in the city. I do believe looking at businesses along 65 is very important, but I honestly think one of the top priorities is getting the community's trust and in the communication back. There's so many people that don't know I didn't know there was a breakfast going on last week. There's things that are going on in the city that we don't know anymore. I know COVID hurt a lot of that. A lot of us kind of stayed together, separated from all this stuff that was going on, and now that people can get out again, I do believe that is one of my top priorities would be to have everything more transparent in the city.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
Well, I don't mean to correct you, Artie, but I wish our debt was 2 million or 3 million. The amount that the city's residents have paid since that water sewer project was constructed is over 15 million at this point, and we have another 21 million to pay by 2030. And that's not including, no, that is including the reserve capacity loan that you were referring to. So it's a chunk, and I agree with what Tammy said as far as getting the trust back. That project is what motivated me to get involved in municipal government. I'd never been involved in it before. But I'm not going to dwell on that. But anyway, so that's the realities that we're facing, and these development projects will help with water sewer hookups and fees and all that kind of stuff. It'll help to pay that debt that we have to pay this year. It'll be another $1 million, and it goes up from here. Anybody can look at the city proposed budget and see the amortization table, and it'll show you the numbers that I'm saying are true. They're right out of the budget. But toward this particular case, the Cedar Creek Elementary School needs good water. And again, I'm not touting Matt Look like he's, walked across water to come to the city hall today, but we're pursuing right now a grant from the state to get water and sewer extended to Cedar Creek, and that'll also stem off to the development properties just north of that. And we're in the process of rezoning those properties from residential to business. And that's the mechanics of how you set up for future business growth.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Tammy. This is from a resident here in the audience, and I'm going to read it entirely. What kinds of plans, or not, do you have for East Bethel parks? Willing to spend money on parks, ? Or want to keep taxes down? Tammy. I can read it again if you like.
No, I got it. I think there's always budgeted money for the parks. So yes, I think we do need to spend money on the parks. We have, how many parks in the city of East Bethel? Quite a few. And so we do need to spend money on them, but I don't believe it maybe is as much as I've seen spent. There are little projects such as the, I call it the Trail of Nowhere that goes down Baton Street right now. And it's literally sidewalk and sidewalk, and then there's nothing. And I think that should have been looked at a little closer, because that kind of money we could have spent somewhere else in the city. So I do believe we need to spend money on parks, but maybe not as much as what they are spending. I do believe that every single development has a park in it, or well, I don't know if you call it a park, but it's a park spot for it. That comes out of the development money from the developer, so that wouldn't affect East Bethel itself. I mean, it wouldn't affect the money that we're projecting through East Bethel. So if that answers the question, yes, I do think that money needs to be spent in parks. I think it just needs to be looked at. It makes sense.
Thank you. Kevin Lewis?
Yeah, as Tammy was mentioning, it's a park dedication fee. When development is done, the developer has to either set aside land or give money to the city. It's called a park dedication fee. And it is a source of money, and we have monies that we set aside for park maintenance and improvement. Been some improvements down at the Coon Lake Beach area, Maynard Peterson Park, and also near our clubhouse, which was great because it'd been a long time since anything had been done down that way. And we had a big dedication, and everybody was very pleased. And parks are part of what's great about East Bethel, is we have a really nice park system in addition to the natural spaces. So it's definitely a priority, and you have to spend money on maintaining them and expanding them and, improving them. Absolutely.
Thank you. And already it's the same question. Again, what kinds of plans or not do you have for East Bethel parks? Willing to spend money on parks or want to keep taxes down?
Well, I would say we got to keep the parks in place and keep them maintained and everything. And like Kevin says, the dedication fees that we get from these developers when new developments come in, whether it be land or money, I mean, you put that to good use too. But both of them have covered pretty much everything. But I do believe we need to have parks, I mean, in the community.
Thank you. Next question is from the Chamber of Commerce, and we'll start with Kevin Lewis. Being an effective and informed elected official requires due diligence and research of facts pertaining to the topics at hand for meeting preparation. Are you prepared to dedicate the time required for this behind-the-scenes meeting preparation?
Oh, you're absolutely right. That's the essence of the job, is to do due diligence on behalf of the residents of East Bethel so that the decisions you make are well informed. That's the bottom line of the job. And I'm really proud of our city council right now because we do our due diligence. We're prepared when we come to meetings. We actually go out and do site inspections on our own time. In preparation for votes on variances and stuff, and that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying we're doing anything special. That's the way it's supposed to be. And if you're not willing to do that amount of effort, it's not the job for you, because I estimate I work 40 to 50 hours a month on behalf of East Bethel, which is fine. I'm fine with it. I'm retired. I have the time to do it. But it's not a job you just show up to meetings and nod your head at whatever people tell you to vote. That's not the way to do it. Did I answer your question
Yes.
completely?
I don't think there's a wrong question tonight. The voters will decide right or wrong.
Okay.
Artie?
Well, yes. Repeat the question again, please.
Being an effective, informed elected official requires due diligence and research of facts pertaining to the topics at hand for meeting preparation. Are you prepared to dedicate the time required for this behind-the-scenes meeting preparation?
Yes, I am. I mean, I believe in, since I've dedicated 41 years already to this city, doing this kind of stuff and research, I do a lot of research on everything before I go forward with it. I always have. And I think just moving forward like that and making sure all the T's and I's are all dotted.
Thank you. Tammy?
Absolutely. Would be dedicated to, if I got the position as mayor, I would absolutely be dedicated to it. I'm going to be the first to say I'm not a politician. And I was also in the fire department for 17 years. In 2004, I knew absolutely nothing about the fire department. Didn't have anyone in my family that was on the fire department. Didn't have a grandpa, a dad. I just was interested, and I became one of the best firefighters they had. And that was because I was passionate about it, and I plan on doing the same thing here.
Thank you. Next question goes to Artie from a resident here tonight. It's a direct question on development. Please tell us your view on the development of big box retail.
I think that's been harshed over pretty good, but yes, like I say, I believe in that. I mean, I'd say right now we've only got one area that's able to do that, and we got to further, like I keep saying and harping, is we got to make the infrastructure to bring that in, and until we do that, they're just not going to come.
Tammy?
This seems like a setup question. I believe in it, but I also, it would depend on which big box. So along 65, if it was the right place, the right retail, I would be okay with that. And of course, it'd be the residents if the residents want it. It has to be what the residents want. I'm okay shopping where I'm shopping. I would like to have a grocery store here that I can stay in town. Then the rest I kind of order in. So it would really have to depend on what the residents want and which big box it was.
Okay. Kevin Lewis?
Well, the big box is just a type of business, you know. So, like I've said, my primary interest is in businesses that residents can earn an income at. There are a lot of places you can spend your money, like Route 65 Pub and Grill, for example. And that's great that you're here, you know, and you get a lot of business locally. And it's good if there's also businesses where people can earn money too. So that's that's just my personal bias is more toward that direction.
Okay. Next questions from the Chamber of Commerce. We'll start with Tammy. What do you believe the city's role should be in booster days?
The city's role. I'm thinking of past booster days, and it seems like lately it's actually from when we first moved here to even 10 years ago, it is not even close to the same. I think the role of the city should be to lead it. They should be the leaders on it. I think it should be set up by the city. It should be led by the city, and then participation from businesses and fire department, you know, the law enforcement, and then businesses, East Bethel businesses and surrounding communities. But I actually think it should be led by the city. It's a city function that the city should take over and lead that.
I'm not sure what the exact structure should be, but I'd like to see it more active than it was this past year. I spent time in the booth, and I also visited the Linwood equivalent of Booster Days, and they had as many people as we did, and they're 1/3 our size in terms of population, maybe 40%. So I'd like to see it. I like to see the parade come back. That was a big missing piece this past year. As far as how you structure it, whether it's volunteer or whether it's within the city, I'm not clear about that yet. Haven't given it enough thought.
Okay, well, thank you. Artie?
Well, I believe the city needs to promote it more. I mean, it's like they've said, you know, it seems to be getting smaller every year. And that's too bad because it's a good thing. It's promoting the city as the whole. And if we ain't getting it out to the residents or whatever what goes on here, you know, that might be part of the problem. We got to inform our residents and guide them and educate them on this stuff, that we need participation from all of you. It's all a community, and we need to promote it as a community, so.
Thank you. Next question. We'll start with Kevin Lewis. It will come from the Chamber of Commerce. All of the questions from the residents in attendance were all the same about business development and rural. There was one question about a beehive. I just don't know how to ask that question. So I will go to the next question from the Chamber of Commerce. Based on surveys that have been conducted, the quality and speeds of internet connections are a top priority. How do you plan on addressing this issue?
Well, it's really important that we are, I don't know how you'd put it, that we have quick internet here in East Bethel, especially with the number of people who work from home nowadays since COVID. And as I indicated, I used to before COVID. There was life before COVID. And it's interesting, right now we're working on something with the county, and Matt again is really well plugged in on it. There is money sitting there waiting to fund broadband projects. And for some reason, that money has not been available to cities like us. And if it doesn't get used, it reverts to the county. And so we are actively pursuing a grant with Anoka County specifically to get broadband projects funded here in East Bethel. It is important. It's a good topic to bring up.
Artie?
Well, I agree. I mean, it is very important. My knowledge of what services we actually have working in the city ain't that good. I mean, I go through Midco. Mine seems to be fine. I have very good cable service, but I know there's infrastructure out there that's going around the city. I don't know which system it is, but it can always be improved.
And Tammy?
Well, I'd have to revert to what Mayor Lewis said. I mean, he knows, he's been part of this, so obviously we don't have, all we have on Baton is, I think Midco just came in, but they aren't hooked up or anything yet, so it would be what's out there already, what we already have, and what do you, I guess whatever Lewis said is what's out there. We can't make something that isn't out there, so.
Okay, so each candidate now will have a closing time of 2 minutes, and we will start with Artie. Please keep in mind to the audience here tonight that you will vote for one mayor, and this is a term for 2 years. Artie, you have 2 minutes to close.
I believe our community is at a crossroads right now. We have challenges, but also we have many opportunities. We need to be proactive, not reactive like we have in the past. We need to educate our residents much better. I mean, when it comes to development and taxes offsetting, we need to educate our citizens, because you bring up the word development, citizens really turn their heads and frown quick. And development is a good thing in ways when you control it. So to that, I need your support this November. Only then we can shape a better future for our city. Thank you.
Kevin Lewis,
Me or?
backwards, yeah.
Oh, okay, backward.
Well, she started, so she should end.
Okay, whatever you say, you're the moderator.
Thank you.
Uh,
Volunteer.
Volunteer moderator. Um, like all of us, I talk to a lot of residents, and you kind of get an idea of where we as a group of 12,300 people want to take our city, and it is up to us if we stand up and say we want it this way and we don't want other people to do it for us. I wrote a vision statement, and I'm going to be posting. I'll actually make a post on Facebook, probably the first one in years. But preserve East Bethel's natural beauty and rural character through resident-defined development priorities. And getting back to that water sewer project, again, I was at 2 of those meetings. I never heard one resident say, boy, that sounds like a great idea to me. I heard the city administrator at the time, and I heard council members promoting it and others, consultants who are being paid to promote it. But it didn't come from the residents. The residents made it clear they did not want it. And we're still paying for it and going to be paying for it for a while. So all we have to do is have resident input. And I agree with what both of these folks have referred to, and that is somehow or another, we have to get the pulse of the residents of East Bethel on a timely basis better than we ever have before. Somehow we have to get an exchange of information that's better than we've ever had it before. If we want to control our destiny, that's where it's going to come from. Thanks.
Tammy.
I believe that the city of East Bethel is actually in a crisis right now. I've been here for 25 years. I've seen it from the very beginning. When I moved here, I was absolutely in love with the city of East Bethel, and that has continually gotten less. I believe that the leadership here is lacking, hugely lacking. And what we truly need is a leader, somebody to lead by example and be part of the community, part of the system entirely. And that's me. I think that if with a strong leader, the rest of what I've seen in the past is on the councils now and very recent is lack of leadership. I see a buddy system in a lot of things around East Bethel, and that isn't good. You need the other side, and the other side, it's okay to disagree, and I think that that's what is needed in East Bethel is both sides, and to have it okay that you can agree to disagree and still make it a strong community. So I do believe that with really strong leadership, which has been lacking, the city of East Bethel could be an absolutely fantastic place to live again, raise a family.
Thank you. That concludes the Chamber of Commerce Meet the Candidate questions. I want to personally thank you for attending. Thank you for your commitment to East Bethel, and thank you for a thankless job. No matter what you do, someone's going to be unhappy. But I appreciate your efforts and your willingness to do what's right for East Bethel. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everybody.
We'll be getting a city council set up and we'll start them in what, Brad?
At 7:30.
7:30?
Brad, I could have Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. Yeah, that's just, every other question was the same. About the question. Okay.
Brad, I'm gonna leave the one next to you empty, I'm gonna move them. Yeah, if you wanna go on the other end, you'll have to reach over and find there's not one in that one. Maybe that is.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Move that one over. Yep. Yeah, hold on, we're gonna have to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's fine.
It wasn't just 15 years ago. We got
Dogs here. Bundle is here. Lewis is here. Purple is here. Okay, we need one more of the. Oh, yeah. Candidates are ready and there's a post competition there. There's some plenty of students who come out. All right, everybody, we're gonna start early. Everyone take their seats. I'll get the candidates.
We can't change them. That's supposed to be the same question. Yeah, hopefully, I mean,
So Dino, you're on the far end. Bob's next. Dan's next. You're three. Yeah, you're center. Suzanne, you're here, and Mark, you're here. Hey, Austin, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
Bob, you're not your spot.
Right next to Brad. How you doing, man? Okay. Okay. You can get around.
All right.
Wouldn't be the first time in life.
Yes, that's you. Make sure your mic is. Mic, everybody. You know.
Hey, Trouble. I recognize a few people.
Justin, you recognize a few people.
Huh?
You recognize anybody?
Lots of people.
Do you?
Mainly the older folks.
Huh?
A lot of the old folks. A lot of them that are friends.
Young people don't even come anymore, do they?
Hi, how are you? Good to
How are
see
you
you.
doing?
Good. Good.
Nice to see you.
Huh?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Standing room.
This is
You
a-
guys got a seat somewhere?
No, we just got here
Oh,
late.
did you?
So I didn't get to see any of the first part.
Oh, they were the mayors. They did the mayors first.
Okay.
Now the council. Yeah. It's recorded tomorrow. You can watch it.
Oh, good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You'll have to tell
think
Carla
there's
to send me a link.
Yeah, I will. I'll make sure she does.
Is she here?
Everybody seated where there's one seat here, there's a couple seats in the front. Jim, are there 2 seats behind you? There's 2 seats in the back there, or the hallway crowd.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, works good. Still got it. Yep. Why, you wanna buy it back?
I think it's good.
Oh, you got a good memory. What's going on, Councilman?
Okay. Council member candidates, thank you for attending. My name is Brad Slauson. I am the president of the East Bethel Chamber of Commerce and the owner of Route 65 a Pub and Grub. As I told the audience here earlier, I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and I am a volunteer moderator, so be easy on me. They found out real early that I don't do this each and every day. So having said that, we did do a drawing and you're seated in the drawing format. So Mark will go first with his opening statements for 2 minutes and we'll end with Dino. And likewise, when we close, Dina will start and Mark will stop. Questions are for the 2 minutes also. You'll see a sign halfway through when you have a half a minute left. But you get a full ability to answer each question for the 2 minutes. This is a question and answer forum, not a debate. So if your candidate next to you is something that if they answer the question you don't like, this is not a chance to debate. You can give your own answers. Likewise, the audience won't be sighing or clapping or debating either. So just answer the questions. Jack Davis told me after our last forum a couple of years ago, it was the most viewed post that he had done in his entire job here. So people will be watching this in order to vote for you as a candidate. Having said that, we will begin now with your opening statement, and we will start with Mark Luktavish.
You got it. You're close.
Okay,
Close.
I tried.
You tried. Good evening. Thank you, Brad. Mark Luktavish. Pleasure to meet everybody. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for hosting. I've lived here in East Bethel going on 5.5 years. Married for about 16.5, going on 17 years. I did fact check that with my wife before I came, just so you know. I've 2 little girls, a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old at home. So if you see my bio, pretty involved in there. From a personal life, from a professional perspective, I come from the world of pharmacy. I've been in pharmacy in various positions for the majority of my career. I live now in my career development, I'm in the corporate side of things. So what does that mean? I own product development, so developing new ideas, solutions, pulling companies together, where it's large corporations or smaller businesses. And then I own the pharmacy to patient solution. So if you get a prescription delivered at your home, depending on where and what that comes from, I may or may not be involved, or my team may or may not be involved. So the reason why I talk about the corporate side of things is, and just to get into my why I'm here speech of it, is, I think looking at East Bethel in the next 4 years from a unique lens, right? Asking the right questions, looking at this from more of a strategic, what are we doing as a development over the next 4 years? We have a really beautiful community here. We have a unique property and a unique opportunity to really do something great here. And I think I bring a perspective, not only just from a generational perspective, but from a business side too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Urkel. My history is I retired from the Army. I've been a resident here since 1998. I'm married. I have 2 adult children, pets. I love the peaceful rural atmosphere of East Bethel. but I am in the mindset that all the green does not need to become brick and mortar. That's my big thing right now. I've been on the school board, planning commission. I've been on the roads and parks commission. Currently, I'm on the EDA, economic development. I'm on the Blaine Airport commission. So, and I'm a member of the seniors. I've organized monthly game day over here. I've tried to get the community together. That's one of my goals. I've organized several vendor craft fundraisers for the seniors, and I'm actually working on East Bethel's very first Christmas tree lighting. So mark your calendars for December 6th. I want to engage more residents in community activities, and I'm always open to ideas. The reason I'm running is because I'm pro fiscal responsibility. I'd like to slow down spending. I think we can do more collaboration with neighboring communities. I believe in freedom and property rights and business rights, and I believe in less taxes, and I think the permits and the fees that we pay are considered, in my mind, it's a tax, and I think East Bethel charges too much for some of them, not for all of them. And I'm for limiting development. I know we can't stop development out here, but we can limit it, we can slow it down. It's developing way too fast, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's gonna, thank you.
I'm Brian Mundell. First off, I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this on. This is not a city official function. This is something the Chamber does and volunteers to put on for its residents. And second, thank all of you for coming out here and being in this room. For the audience on the TV can't see it, the room is full. I would love to see a council chamber full like this during a council meeting, but for positive reasons, like if everybody wanted to volunteer for booster days and help out with that, and to put in a plug with that, they are looking for a parade coordinator this year. Anyways, I'm Brian Mundell. I'm running for city council. I've lived in East Bethel for the vast majority of my life. It's my hometown and part of my genealogy since the city's inception. I'm the 7th lineal descendant of James Cooper, who was one of the first settlers and who named the original township in 1858. Ralph Gardner is my great-grandfather, who was one of the first trustees in 1857 and helped the transition of East Bethel from a township to a village in 1959. My grandfather, Ken Langmaid, a World War II veteran, served on the Park Commission for 15 years before resigning from it from the age of 96. These men gives me the passion and interest to serve the city. I know the city's history, what it once was, and that gives me perspective of where we should go and why the ruralness is so important to our area. I'm running for council for many reasons, but firstly to help it run properly in a professional manner. The city is essentially a business with a $6 million budget and 12,000 plus shareholders. We need leaders that can conduct themselves professionally at that level. I've served the city for 12 years now, 4 on planning and zoning, 8 on council. There's a proven track record of city goals that I've helped achieve in that time, from attracting new businesses so that the city water and sewer project can succeed, to improving our parks and trails. If you have me, I'd like to give a little bit more of my time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Dobbs. I'm new to this whole thing, so I'm gonna probably make it short and sweet, but I've been out here my whole adult life. I'm a member of the Lions. I'm the car show guy if you ever come to Booster Day. You'll see me there. I'm a member of the East Bethel Seniors. I worked for the city for 27 years, so I know about stacking all them chairs you guys are sitting on. I personally have grown up and watched things change. Change isn't all bad. I mean, we have to have it. It's coming. I mean, really, we can try to turn it our direction the best we can. What I really want more than anything is try my best, my personal best, is to get people involved again, because of COVID and all that stuff. Nobody participates. They sit back and watch from afar, but no one jumps in. You know, like Booster Day, we could really use help. I'm part of that. Other than that, I'll make it short and sweet. I'm Dan Dobbs. Thank you for coming. And the chamber, I forgot all about that. But thank you all for taking time to come and look at all of us sit up here. So, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Bob DeRoche. Most of you know me. First, let me thank Chamber, Brad, you guys, you put this thing on. I've been to a few of these. Been in East Bethel 41 years, live out on Coon Lake. Been involved in politics, originally got involved in 2010 during the sewer water fiasco. Stayed on council until 2014 to 15, I sat in as mayor. Got out of it and have kind of set back, spent a lot of time with my grandsons. I think that's kind of a lot of important. But then in 2023, I was asked to step back up again and get on the city council because of, not just because of who I know, but because of my history and my background on a lot of the projects, a lot of the things that have gone on in the city. I've watched a lot of growth. A lot of people say they don't want to see any growth and they just want to stay rural. But I think there's got to be a unique balance to do that. And I decided this time to run again. There's some things that I haven't finished yet, and I'd like to see them through. I've got my bios out on the table if you really want to get into some of the more detailed stuff. Other than that, thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Dino?
Hi, my name's Dino Perfetti. I've been a member, I've lived in East Bethel for 25 years, Anoka County for about 38 years. I live here with my beautiful wife Carla and 4 children. I am the president of a company called Automotive Restyling Concepts, and we do everything you can imagine to a car after you purchase it new or used. So everything from remote start systems to leather interiors and so on. So 45 employees. I've been the president there for the past 6 years. Also, I'm just finished an 8-year stint with SEMA, and they govern our industry, the automotive industry. It's called the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. I was the chairman of the Pro Council for 8 years, and I had 3 opportunities to go to Washington, D.C. and advocate for our industry, and it really opened my eyes that, you know, our voices can be heard, and we made some real good traction there for our industry. You know, my foremost goal will be to enhance the quality of life for our residents, for all our residents. You know, how does that happen? I mean, it's a big job. We need a lot of change in our city. One thing I believe wholeheartedly is our collaborative spirit needs to change. We need to utilize resources that can bring information and people's concerns, businesses' concerns, to the council for us to make intelligent decisions to help responsibly grow our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The first question will be to Mark, and is from the Chamber of Commerce. Please explain your position on the value of businesses, both present and a future, within the city of East Bethel.
I think, good question. I think the value of today's businesses in East Bethel is paramount, right? It's our core. And what we do in the future, I think, ultimately will decide what East Bethel looks like. So who we bring in, who we decide to partner with, I think being picky is important. You know, there's, you know, if you look at the comprehensive plan, the 2030, 2040 vision, you know, everyone talks about 65 as being that developed roadmap. So I think being partners with the businesses that are here, because businesses need to be successful, and it's hard to be in business today, right? It's not cheap. But I think being picky in who we bring in to keep that rural charm is important.
Thank you. Ms. Suzanne?
Sorry, I had a thing in my throat. I think businesses bring great value to our community. They bring employment, jobs for our people, where we don't have to drive in the traffic down south or north. But they also bring activities, and they bring community involvement, and they bring donations to nonprofits, and they're such a valuable resource, and they're knowledgeable, and they provide great advice to each other and support each other, and they support our city. So I love the businesses in here, and I think the city should do everything they can to support them without interfering in the way they run their business.
Brian?
Can you repeat the question once more?
Yes. Please explain your position on the value of businesses, both present and a future, within the city of East Bethel.
Obviously, there's a lot of good things that businesses can bring in. Taxes, obviously, good jobs, so that our residents we can potentially get new residents, or that our existing residents don't have to drive to another place. With new businesses, if they build in the sewer and water district, that of course supports the sewer and water system. They can provide essential services like a pharmacy or a grocery store, and resources for our citizens. So if they need an auto part, or if they need X item or a widget or whatever, that's available to them. And a lot of our businesses have really got involved in the community involvement and sponsorship. There's always a good handful that donate a lot of money and time to Booster Days and some of the other events that we have. And I like to think of them as a resident of East Bethel, but a different kind of resident that has unique needs. But we should serve them all the same and support them how we can, and we have done that in the past with the business and retention program. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan?
Oh boy, getting harder to follow every time. We have great businesses here now. I think it's good to see them come and grow. I think we need more, but I think they need to be more to we need the community involved in them than just having some business pop up and say, okay, here it is. We need to be involved. The community needs to be more involved in what we need. Yeah, I think, boy, it's gonna happen. It's gotta happen. I think it really would be beneficial we really need something like, I would like to see healthcare, some facility brought in. Of course, a grocery store, but we wanted that for a long time. Other than that, like I say, I'll make it short and sweet. We'll go on to Bob.
Well, I've seen a lot of businesses come to East Bethel since I first got in office in 2011. One of them has expanded quite a bit, actually. I think it's important. It's great to have business come in, but we can't do it at the residents' expense. To bring a business in, you can't just plop it anywhere you want. It has to be done through planning. Fortunately, we have a pretty good planning commission who weeds things out, look at it. And, you know, if somebody comes in and wants to move in here, you can't just give them a permit because they offer a certain service. We have to look at where we've been, where we're at now, and where we're gonna go. It's all gotta be part of the comp plan. The comp plan isn't carved in stone, but it is kind of a guiding light that we need to follow. You can't, and again, you can't just let anybody come in here, but you can't turn them down. East Bethel is pretty open. I've been here, like I say, 41 years, and yeah, every election cycle you hear, yeah, we're gonna get a grocery store. Well, that dead horse has been beat up. You know, now we've got developments coming in, maybe somebody will take a look at maybe putting a grocery store in here, but we cannot force someone to come to East Bethel and do it. Highway 65 is our corridor, and we have to understand that the sewer water district is 3/4 of a mile square. It's not all up and down the highway yet. So whatever we do, we have to weigh out, is it worth us spending money to put in infrastructure for them? What are we gonna get back as a city? That's it.
Thank you. Dino?
Yeah, I believe businesses are obviously the life support of our city. We have some great businesses here. I've had the chance to talk to quite a few business owners in the last month during my campaigning, and to be honest, there are a lot of them that are not happy, the current business owners. We need to work with them and see what their concerns are, address those concerns, and that in turn will help us entice new business. We definitely need new business to help carry the burden. Some business owners have told me their taxes have doubled, but they don't feel their property values have doubled. So there's some concern with our existing businesses. We have a committee, the EDA, Economic Development Authority, that I think is being underutilized. There's 5 members on there with a 6-year commitment. They haven't had a meeting in 6 months. Those people gave their time to go out and see what they can do to help existing businesses and entice new businesses. So if elected, that will be a priority of mine to get involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Some businesses bring burgers on Tuesdays for $5 too.
Well, it is Tuesday.
Okay. Next question, we'll start with Suzanne. This is from someone here in the audience. What kind of plans, or not, do you have for East Bethel parks? Are you willing to spend money on parks, or do you want to keep taxes down?
I want to keep taxes down, and I'd love to see our parks expand a little bit. And with that, I would propose that we would try to find some grants rather than raise taxes to do it. We have some really great parks here, and we do have a Parks Commission, and we do update those parks on a scheduled basis. And there are some great plans that when I was on before, where we were going to put in different activities like little workout stations and little permanent type game type things, like a permanent checkers board and stuff. And when I got off the council, I don't know what happened to that, and I'd like to revise it. So that's how I feel about it.
Brian?
Well, first we'd have to see what our residents' wants and our needs are, and if needed, review the city park systems. If the residents want and are willing to pay for a new park somewhere or some special feature, that could be considered, because obviously we'd have to raise taxes. We could look at other funding sources for parks, but really we need to certify what our wants and needs, because there's kind of a life cycle in a lot of neighborhoods. A new development will get a lot of young families. They have kids, they use the parks, kids grow up, move out. Now there's seniors living in those houses, the parks don't get used. So we need to see what parks are getting used, what those needs are in a particular neighborhood. Another way of addressing trails is by connecting trails, short trails from one neighborhood to another, to help bridge kids or parents to a connecting park or connecting trail. That's a way to cheaply but effectively use funds by making connecting trails rather than developing a whole trail system that residents may not use, but yet the city would have to maintain. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Dan?
I've seen changes in our parks that are phenomenal. I mean, they change periodically because kids do grow up. They move on to grandparents. But then the grandkids come and then they start still using the parks. Excuse me, the best thing I could see is the trail system. That's really used a lot by a lot of people that I know. As far as grants, there's grants out there, I'm sure there is, that you can, I mean, we don't have to spend a ton of money to make the parks nice. I've seen them grow. I've helped make them grow. The trees over in Booster West, I planted. I mean, I watched things grow. I think they can grow as fast as the residents need it or want it, is what I got. So, Bob?
Bob, again, what kind of plans
Oh, I'm
or
sorry.
not do you have for East Bethel parks? Willing to spend money on parks or keep taxes down?
Sorry.
Boy, that's kind of a tough one because you gotta have parks. You gotta give kids somewhere to go, somewhere they can play, do whatever. The hard part in East Bethel is we're 48 square miles and we don't just connect. And to put connecting trails in to all the neighborhoods, I don't see how it could be done without going too crazy. Now, I know that we've got a Parks Commission and they have seeked out some grants for some of the parks. Times are changing, and like everybody else says, you know, developer comes in, puts up a housing project, you build a park, kids grow up, move on. Some of the parks, you still have to maintain them because part of it's a safety issue. Once the park is there, it's there, and you can't just give it back. To my understanding, it has to go back to the developer. I know early on in 2011, 2012, there was a lot of dreams about connecting a lot of the parks around here with trails, and it just, at that part of the sewer water fiasco that was going on, the monies just were not available. We were trying to figure out how we were gonna pay for this thing. So the parks and trails got kind of put on the back burner. We have a Parks Commission, and it's their job, I believe, to put together what they can, bring it to the city council. The city council as a whole has to agree on something. It can't be just what one person wants. It's gotta be agreed upon by everybody.
Thank you, Bob. Dino?
Great. You know, I think parks have a rate high in importance to a city. Young families, obviously, it plays a big part when they decide where they're going to want to raise their families. I remember raising my son, and we'd ride our Alice Chalmers tractor to the park a mile down the road, and some great memories. I did see recently there was an expenditure at the Coon Beach for about $100,000 to upgrade that park. I've not had a chance to see that yet. It seems excessive to me. I think there's other expenses we could curb, some existing spending, and possibly look at upgrading some other parks. But I think all in all, we have a very good amount of parks in our city right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah. I think the sentiment here is, you know, parks are a big part of the community. I think they're very important. Looking at the 2024 budget, right? So East Bethel we do spend money on parks. I think the question is, you know, should we be a little more tactical where that money is spent and how we do it? And then are we promoting our parks? Are we really, as a community, you know, everyone on this up here is talking about how we can connect with the community, how can we build that trust back, how can we talk? And I think parks are a good vehicle for that and promoting them to be a use place. I've got little girls, neighborhood full of 20 kids. There's no way that I'm gonna say, hey, we should get rid of parks. I'm that last guy to do it because I gotta go home. I'm married, so that's a bad answer. But promoting them, communicating, using them as an opportunity to build community, yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Next question is from the Chamber of Commerce, and we will start with Brian. What do you believe is the top priority that needs to be addressed in the upcoming 24 months for the greater good of East Bethel?
Well, for the greater good, as it's always been, since the sewer and water system went in is the sewer and water and developing that area so that we can put off paying the $2 million reserve capacity loan and making sure that the sewer and water system will pay for itself and be healthy. I always looked at the sewer and water system as, yes, it costs money. I look at it as a mortgage. Nobody necessarily likes their mortgage, but they go out and they get a job so that they can pay for it. And in the meantime, they live in their house. They have celebrations in their house. They create memories and holidays and birthdays and celebrations. And I honestly have a positive outlook on the sewer system as long as we can continue to develop that area so that it will support itself. And recently we have 2 new developments going in, the Elvidge development and the Viking Meadows development. We just approved that final plat at this last meeting. With those 2 developments, we do have the potential to avoid paying the reserve capacity loan and avoid putting that burden on any residents. So, as always, continue to promote the city professionally and attracting businesses, developments for that area, along with maintaining our residents, keeping them happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan,
Question again, please?
what do you believe is a top priority that needs to be addressed in the upcoming 24 months for the greater good of East Bethel?
Well, for sure, we need to try to keep the sewer and water thing going on, get it so it can maintain itself the best it can. I'm gonna keep falling back on trying to get people involved more than they are. I know it's hard for a lot of people to get involved and with whatever they got going in life now. But yeah, I think we need to try to get it to sustain itself. That's why we have it. I mean, I guess that's been, a lot of things have been said already about it, so let's try to keep it moving as best we can. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you
Bob?
repeat that question? Some of these answers
These
are
are
a little
testing me.
long.
I'm a volunteer. Okay, what do you believe is a top priority that needs to be addressed in the upcoming 24 months for the greater good of East Bethel?
Well, I guess an answer you probably haven't heard yet, but a lot of the trust back from the residents. When I came in June of 2023, we put the public forum back in. I think it's critical for that to be here, good, bad, or indifferent. When people come in, they need to be able to speak their mind, and maybe they can't do it through staff, and so the only way to do it is to do it in front of the city council. Maybe somebody's watching that city council meeting and going, hey, you know what? I got the same problem that they do. Why don't we both attack it together? I think the city over the years has lost a lot of trust in the city councils. I'm not gonna go into details because I think it's just too personal. However, I think we're on the right track. The sewer water project, is it just gonna come to a miracle and fix itself? Absolutely not. And putting those 2 housing development projects in there, that's not gonna fix the problem. It may help a little bit, but what I would like people to do is understand that to develop Highway 65, we don't own that property. Someone else owns it. The sewer water cannot sustain developing both sides of that highway. Any expansion that's made on that system is gonna cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And sometimes people don't wanna hear that. And so I'll just put this here, just put this here. No, you can't just put things there. That's why the planning commission's in there to kind of look at things, and it goes before the city council. Because the city council doesn't always agree with the planning commission doesn't mean they're wrong. It means we may have more information. And so get involved. Come to the meetings, watch it on YouTube, watch it on TV, do whatever you have to do, but you gotta get involved because the 5 people up here do not know how to read minds.
Thank you. Dino?
You know, I believe the next 24 months, responsible development is going to be the key to the success of our city. And, you know, Bob here hit it on the head. It all begins with trust. I've looked back 2 years, 4 years, 6 years at candidates that were coming in, and trust comes up over and over again. And I think trust comes from transparency. When I was campaigning as of late, a lot of the questions, especially in the area that I live in, is they see the need of some elementary schools that need a change in their water and sewer. They're very concerned. I started asking a lot of questions. There's city employees that are probably tired of seeing my emails and getting my phone calls. It's very difficult to get an answer. The people that I'm campaigning with, they want to know the truth, and I don't want to give them an answer unless I know for sure. It's very difficult to get an answer on how this growth and how the 65 corridor, the water tower we currently have, I hear it's underutilized. Now I hear if we supply the 2 elementary schools, East Bethel and Cedar Creek, we need another water tower. There's no transparency. We need to be comfortable with these decisions. Residents need to trust in the council and understand why some of these decisions are being made.
Thank you. Mark?
So Isani has 7,000 population. So if you go north of us, that's if you know the community, what they have for businesses. Cambridge has 9,000. If you go south, Ham Lake has 16,000. If you go to Forest Lake, they have 20,000. East Bethel is around 12,000 people in terms of population. So what's most important to me, why, yes, there's some things that are mentioned are important up here. I think having a clear vision of what we want the city to look like from both residents and the businesses, working collaboratively, communication, and communication isn't easy. And especially in my world, you have to seek it, you have to find it. You can't just say, hey, come meet and talk to me. You have to make an effort to talk. So it's a clear vision and clear communication, I think, are the big gaps. When you compare us to the other like cities, and if you say, hey, we don't want to be like that, that's fine. But we need to create a vision of what East Bethel needs to be as a community to move forward beyond where we're at. Otherwise, we're going to keep going back to, well, we need this, we need a grocery, without what does the detail look behind that, underneath? You got to lift up the hood. What does it look underneath that? And then from a communication, what's important to me is, and this is what I've learned in my professional careers, it's people don't want to share what they think with you. You have to find that. You have to create the vehicles to do that. You have to chase it down, and that in itself is almost a full-time job. So I think those are big things for me moving in for the next 24 months.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Well, besides slowing down development, eliminating it, freedom for property owners, freedom for businesses, freedom from government involvement in property owners' rights. You know, I'd like to modify or eliminate plenty of ordinances that hinder residents' dreams and property owners' dreams and businesses' dreams because the government has gotten involved. And I know some of it comes from the feds and some comes from the state and from the county to the city. But maybe the feds can come and enforce it, and we can just say, we know that's what you want, we don't have the ability to enforce it. Because it takes a lot of manpower to enforce all these ordinances that some of them are just ridiculous.
Thank you. Next question will come from someone here in the audience. We'll start with Dan Dobbs. Are you for or against Highway 65 development? Why or why not?
I think it's in the comp plan. Yes, I'm for it. Yeah, I think it's kind of happening. I think it's a good thing for our residents as long as it's things that we can utilize. Yeah, I guess I don't know you say I'm new to this, I think it's a good thing for us to a point, but we also have to have housing to go with it. I mean, it can't be just building after business. We all see that. Go south, east, west, wherever you wanna go, there's housing and it's coming. Yeah, I guess I kind of think that's just, I'm sorry, I'm done, thank you.
Okay. Bob?
Fred, yeah, you could give me a
Yeah,
question today.
Are you,
Yeah, it's like, what?
I got a great memory,
Sorry,
it's just
everybody.
short.
are you for or against Highway 65 development? Why or why not?
Well, I'm for it to an extent, but it can't just be a plug and play. It's gotta be planned. And there were some decisions made years ago that people didn't really think about when they just went ahead and did it. And so it's kind of, well, let's plug and play this and put this here and this'll fix this. We gotta make darn sure when we make decisions what's gonna go where and what's gonna happen. Personally, I live on Coon Lake Beach and I hope East Bethel stays somewhat rural. That's why most people moved up here. If I wanna go to a grocery store, I can drive into Isani, I can go to Cambridge, I can go to Forest Lake. I don't want to see too much development happen. And again, we don't own all that property. There's wetlands. We have to deal with the MPCA. We have to deal with the Corps of Engineers. We have to deal with just a variety of people. So it's not just as simple as saying, well, we're going to put this here because we want to develop this. We have to make sure that we can develop it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Dino?
You know, I understand the attraction to East Bethel for a lot of people has been their small town lifestyle. And that was the attraction to myself and my family when we moved here. You know, with adequate separation from a metropolitan area. I think East Bethel still has that. I don't think developing 65 will change that one bit. It'll just make it more convenient for residents to shop locally. It'll create some opportunities for jobs. I, for one, drive 35 miles through Blaine and Fridley and 694. I can see that being an attraction by developing 65 and bringing some jobs back into our area. But it has to be done responsibly, and I really don't think it will take away from our rural feel.
Thank you, Dino. Mark?
Yeah, I'm for the development of 65. I think basic services, grocery things, you know, I know that's been tried to death up here, but we've, you know, yeah, could we use an Aldi? Probably. It wouldn't hurt. I think I looked at the comp plan. Yeah, I read 400 pages, and that guy. I could use some editing, and it could use some more detail, right? I think the 65 development will happen, and we need to guide change and guide what happens here so we keep it rural, because that's why I moved up here. That's why I live here. That's why my friends and community are here, because I want it to be rural. I want my girls to enjoy that free lifestyle. That's super important. But change is inevitable for anybody that's been around and's got some gray hairs. It's going to happen. So I think it's important for us to guide how that looks and make sure it does line up with what the residents want and need today, and not 10 years from now. We've got to be more in front of it than we are today.
Thank you. Suzanne?
I think 65 has too much industrial development in it. I think it needs, if it's going to develop, I agree with everybody here that it needs to be planned, and it needs to have places for the youth to go, places where people can go have coffee, enjoy each other's company, where we can go and socialize a little bit. So those are the kinds of things that I think it's lacking, and if it needs to develop, those are the kind of things I would like to see there. However, that said, I'd like it to happen very slowly. That's all.
Thank you. Next question is from the Chamber of Commerce, and we'll start with Bob.
You forgot me.
You're up, buddy.
Thank you for the opportunity to answer a question, Brad. Yes, I would be for developing the 65 corridor, but I say for responsible development, and especially in the sewer and water area, so that we can continue to add hookups so that that area continues to improve and no burdens fall on any citizens because of that. So obviously development down in the city sewer and water area. Outside of that area, going north, there are few pockets of commercial development, Sims and 65, 237th and 65. So with that, we have to see what sort of business would be coming in. How would that land be used, because it'd be more acreage development? And because it is that more acreage development, how will that land be used? And will that coincide with the future planning of the city, so that as the city develops 10 years down the road, 20, 50, 100 years down the road, that hopefully we can set up in these more acreage areas a good plan, a good path, so that development in those areas will not be a problem and will benefit the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Bob DeRoche. What do you believe the city's role should be for Booster Days?
Well, now we got that going.
You want me to ask a question again?
No. Well, I think it's important that we have booster days, and I've got a brain fart here. I can't remember who's running it now. But when she came, we brought her in, or she came in and offered to take it over. She's done a phenomenal job, and the volunteers that come in more and more, I think more people want to get involved in it, and I think if it's well organized, they'll do that. I think it had gotten to a point where it became just stagnant, for whatever reason. And new ideas, booster days, every city's got a day of some kind. You know, we could have Sand Hill Crane Days, but that's probably not gonna go big. Booster Day, you know, I guess I'd rather see it be East Bethel Days to kind of define the city more. Otherwise, people put booster with hockey booster, softball booster. Maybe it's semantics, but I think it's an important day. I think it's a good get-together, and, you know, the fireworks, not everybody fires off $10,000 worth of fireworks in their yard. Some do, some don't. Some people like to bring their families down. Kids enjoy it, you know, maybe a little music.
It's not legal, Bob.
What's that?
It's not legal, Bob.
Well, they do it. I mean, I'm not gonna hide it. What the heck?
Dino, what do you believe the city's role should be for Booster Days?
I remember the question. Thanks, though, Brad. You know, I think Booster Day is an important event for our city. I think it's lost a lot of its luster over the years. I think our re-engagement with police and fire, the departments, they were more involved in the past. I always looked at it as a great opportunity to thank those individuals that are there risking their lives for us. I think we could definitely make some positive changes, but I think it's definitely necessary to get families together. And I enjoyed hearing Gary Schultz sing at the end of that event every year, so I'd like to see that come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Can you repeat the question?
Again.
I'm gonna get a black eye when I go home, aren't I? Dino said it right. Booster Days is important. I love community. I love those environments. I think from a city's role and point of view, promoting it with local businesses, police, fire, and if that takes, you know, if we've got to allocate dollars and resources to make the city, have a fun time and experience to build community, because that's ultimately the thing on the table that we say, hey, there's trust here. How do we talk to each other? It's worth it to me.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Well, this last year, the city actually had a table out there with all the different members of the commission on there for different periods. The council was there for a while, the mayor was out there, and I think the residents really like that, so I think the city needs to be involved that way. I think the city can help, or the council can help market it, talk about it, so that people watching can hear what they're needed, because the Booster Day meetings are not publicized, so people don't know what's going. Some of them don't even really realize how bad they need volunteers. I think we could maybe possibly find somebody to write a grant for us to get more money so that we can make it bigger, because residents have expressed to me that it's lacking something. It's lacking what Blaine and Andover have, the rides, the excitement, the more people. I don't know exactly what it is that they want, but they're like, it's lacking. They want more. So I think we would need a grant to do that, because we already pay $6,000 for the fireworks. The city gets a lot of donations from a lot of the businesses here. Thank you, businesses, my gosh. I know Pub 65 donates a ton of stuff for that. So yeah, that's my answer.
Brian?
Well, of course, based upon the question, the Booster Days is not put on by the city, but by the Booster Day Committee. It's a separate entity. But currently, the city does help out by sponsoring the fireworks. At Booster Day, a lot of city staff either get paid or volunteer their time to help out, set up, take down, and during the planning sessions, there are 2 city council members that are liaison to the Booster Day Committee that attends. But frankly, I'd love to have it be a bigger event. It used to be a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Unfortunately, with the lack of help, with the lack of volunteers, there's only so much that Miss Stephanie Dorn can do on her own to organize everything. And that's why we didn't have a parade this year, because we didn't have somebody volunteer to organize that. So if people are saying we want bigger, we want more, we want better, this is our celebration. This is your celebration. Please come be involved. Come with ideas. Ask how the city can help. Personally, it's probably not a big thing, but it's been brought up, having the city council in a dunk booth. And I would absolutely volunteer for that. And then we need to bring the youth baseball groups over and have somebody sponsor them to give pitching lessons at the dunk booth. It's just a small thing like that, but I think that'd be just one fantastic thing that the state could do. But really, we need ideas brought to us so that the city can help. Thank you.
Dan?
Well, I'm gonna put a sign-up sheet for anybody here on the way out. I'm involved in it and we need help. It's really a good time. There's good food, a great car show, of course. But it's a cool thing. I've seen it since I was young. We used to come here and have tug of wars and the whole thing. We got really good people in good places. We just don't have enough people. I think the city, if we had help, it would just explode. It would be a good time. Last year we had 70 vendors. We had 7 or 8 food trucks. We just don't have enough bodies. If you know anybody, young people, old people, come and help. We get donations from the businesses around the city that are phenomenal. Without them, there wouldn't be anything, and I like it. I like doing it. If we could change the date, that would be great. It's always so hot, but we get through it. It's a fun time. Come if you can, enjoy it. We have some, like I say, we have really good people in good places. We have vendors and people that donate. It's a good time. Come if you can. Thank you.
Just as a follow-up record, and this is being taped as a showing of hands, who else would volunteer to be in a dunk tank if elected?
I might mess up my hair.
No Speedos though.
All right.
I didn't see your hand go up, Brad.
I'm not a veto. Come on. All right, next question from the audience. We'll start with Dino. Please tell us your view on the development of a big box retail store versus rural.
Big box retail. I think there's places for big box retail. I don't think East Bethel is one of them. I really think that would take away from the rural feel of our community. I would like to see, other businesses enticed to come here much before big box retail. So that's my view.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, big box retail, where we're at is with, it would go against with the message I'm trying to communicate is we have to be very picky. We've got a really nice piece of, if you think about what we have on the table from Highway 65 and as a community, it's a gem. So to keep it rural and then to add big box retail, it doesn't make sense. I think going a different path to support the residents' basic needs, communities and businesses. I'm a big fan of small business. 100% all day, every day. So if we can do that first and be successful, we should do that first.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Big no. That's it.
Brian?
I believe that when a city reaches a certain size, that big box is a necessity for those residents. I don't believe that we are there. I don't believe that we would be there for a very long time. I would rather see the essential stores, the smaller stores, such as with the Elvidge development that has 2 commercial lots in front of it. One is perfect size for an Aldi. That is the kind of stores that I would like to see. I would like to see resident-owned businesses, just like the old main streets of a long time ago, that a resident's storefront that are supported by residents. Because when big box stores do come in, it does change the community. It does change the businesses that have already been established there for a long time, and I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing that. So at the current time, and probably for any length of time that I would serve on council, I would say no to a big box store.
Dan?
Yep, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't really think we need one. I like rural. Let's see if we can come up with other ways besides the big box, because yes, it changes things when big box is here. It changes how it feels out here, and I lived out here a long time. I don't want it to change. I mean, I would like more services, of course, but yeah, no to big box.
Well, I think we have a street here. Big box stores, not a big fan of it. I don't know where you'd put it to begin with. Sewer water district is not gonna work for down there. I would rather see maybe, and was told that there was supposed to be a medical clinic and maybe a pharmacy come in when the apartment complexes came in. But I haven't even heard anything about that anymore. Big box stores not really here. Well, maybe a Cabela's, but even that, where are you gonna put it?
Yeah,
Right?
Fleet Farm.
It's not like the city has this property, which some people think, oh, well, just city can do this and sell that and we'll put it here. Well, the city doesn't own that property. And I think it would be really important, instead of just making a decision, put something out to the residents, let them decide. What do you want? This is your city, right? The 5 people that sit up here just mimic whatever you're saying, whatever you want to do. We're just kind of a conduit between. You guys need to get involved and make a decision. Call, email, call your city council person. We don't have wards, but you can call any of them. Call them up, tell them what you want. And if they don't call you back, well, then get on them.
Thank you, Bob. Next question, we will start with Mark, and it comes from the Chamber of Commerce. How are you going to address the poor quality of broadband for both businesses and residents?
That's an interesting question. It's a good question. I guess well, Starlink's not on the table, is it? I think broadband in itself, in an easy statement, you can say, yeah, we can do it and get a company and it's done. Some of the, I think, challenges that East Bethel faces, which DeRoche talked about, which is the connecting trails and our connectivity of the businesses or in our communities. We're not next to each other. So bringing in somebody to, dig lines, bring in broadband, I'm lucky where I'm at. I'm grateful where I'm at. I was able to get it. But not everybody's going to have that chance. So I think, to me, having a more strategic plan, look at alternatives that maybe if we can't support, I joke about Starlink, but that is an alternative. Is there other options on the table that can support the community to get broadband, which I think high-speed internet is nowadays a necessity to live life.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Well, we worked on that when I was on the council. They worked on it after I got off the council. The EDA's worked on it. The county's been working on it. I just heard a report, I think it was from Julie Brasted. She came to the seniors meeting one day and she talked about how grants are being refused. And a resident would have to pay $5,000 or $10,000 just to have something hooked up special to their place. And it's a lot of money, and we know we can't afford it. And I can't go out there and tell the cable company to Midco to, hey, you're going to hook up that house, because we are rural. The houses that are a little bit 2 acres, 3 acres, those are easy. Those communities are easy. But when you have 10-acre properties, after 10-acre properties, it's not feasible for the company or feasible for the resident. I think Starlink is a good idea. I think satellite is a good idea. But we're just going to have to keep going back and back until we can get the grants to get the money. That's the only solution that I see right now.
Thank you. Brian?
Well, when we originally did the business retention expansion program, that involved a whole lot of volunteers that went out and did interviews of businesses, and that wasn't a major need that was identified. And out of that, one of the groups that was developed was a broadband group that met for about a year and a half to try to address those issues, and some positives did come out of that. They partnered with the Midco. Midco has identified areas in the city that are underserved, underdeveloped, and what areas that can be fulfilled reasonable cost. So in some areas, your internet has already been improved because of city actions. Unfortunately, we have a big city. It's rural, spread out. One of the other things is Anoka County is developing a plan in the same fashion that East Bethel was doing, and they've kind of had to go back on the drawing board with some of their stuff, but it's possible that we could partner with the city to or with the county to help fulfill some of these needs. It's one of those things that won't be solved overnight, but we just have to keep chipping at it and chipping at it and chipping at it until such time as maybe Starlink can be a reasonable internet service for any person or resident. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dan?
We got options. I mean, my cell phone hasn't worked in my neighborhood for I don't know how many years. I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see what comes up. You know, I don't think it's feasible to spend a bunch of money trying to get good internet, but people need it because they work from home now, so it's different now, so. Gonna just have to check in for the options that we do have. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, I haven't followed it enough. I know the city's been working on and working on and working on, but I can drive over by my house, stand 5 feet from where I normally have service and don't have service, so, I mean, I have Midco, it works. I guess we just have to see what comes of it all. I don't wanna see us have to pay for everything. I mean, it's kinda that way right now. I gotta pay a cell phone bill or whatever, Midco. So, yeah, we're gonna have to just do the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
Yeah, I'm good on the question.
Okay.
The city's been working on and off with the county for many years, long after I got off the city council. And I follow the meetings and I talk with people at the county. I think what's gonna have to happen is this year, wait till after the election and maybe some money will loosen up down at the state. I think right now, people are afraid to say what they really want or what they really want to do because they're afraid they might not get elected. And you never know, things could change. There's no way that the citizens or residents of East Bethel, the key is density, and there just aren't enough, there isn't enough. Midco comes in, he was talking about Midco. I know Midco down on Lexington and 22, where this place has service across the street. The poor old lady, she offered to pay for it, and they still wouldn't run her a line. It's about the bottom dollar, I guess. Would businesses like to have it? Sure they would. I'm sure Aggressive Hydraulics would love to have it because that's kind of the way they do business, a lot of it. But if it's just not there, it's not there.
Thank you. Dino?
Yeah, I've not heard of this being an issue with the people that I've been campaigning with or for. Maybe I'm just not getting out into some of the very rural areas, but I didn't realize I've heard this being talked about, looking back at meetings for years now. And I just think with the advancement in technology that hopefully eventually this will solve itself. And like Bob said, the county, the state, maybe they'll come into play and we won't have to foot the bill, so.
Thank you. We will now enter into your closing remarks. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and we will start with Dino.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you again, everybody here, for coming out and listening this evening, and those online as well, and those that will be watching it in the future. I think this is a very important time for our city. We need to make responsible decisions, and with God's goodwill, we can set the stage for our kids and grandkids. I think it's imperative. Really, it's not about me or any of the other 5 up here. We're here representing you. We're representing our families, our neighbors. I've never considered myself a politician, and I don't know that I want to. I'd like to be considered a problem solver. Like in our business, it's all about solving problems and growing our business, and that's what we need to do with the city. And many times when people come to me with an issue, they usually have the answer. You just have to listen and listen to what they have to say and then react accordingly. So if I do not feel that I've made a difference in the next 4 years, if I'm elected, I will not put my name in to be reelected. So it's important to me that we get something done over here in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
Boy, I hate this part. How do you sum it up? Well, I've got a lot of years into being on the city council. like most of them up here, me a politician, not on your life, but there were certain things going on and I just didn't see where people were being represented. There was decisions being made by a few, and I thought I had two choices: you either get involved or shut up. I mean, that's the way I was raised. Now, as many of you may know, I'm a little direct sometimes, but I don't get belligerent. And normally, when I speak, I have facts backing what I'm saying. I like to take the packet I get and go through it, research everything that's in there. Some of it over and over and over just to try and get a handle on it. But if you don't understand what you're doing, to just sit up here and vote for something, it's ludicrous. And it puts people in a bad situation. I'm not a wealthy person, and I don't know too many people that are. Yeah, I think East Bethel, from what I found, there's geriatric folks and there's blue collar people. This is never going to be an Ian or a Cottage Grove or Woodbury, and I hope it isn't. I like the way it feels. I like the way it is. I decided to run again. If I'm not elected, well, then I'm not elected. Then apparently I'm not doing what needs to be done, and somebody else needs to step up. But other than that, I find it really interesting. And I think probably the last year is when things kind of really hit home, where you put it in perspective and what are you really doing? And when you talk to people and they say, I'm so frustrated. I work, I come home, bye.
Thank you, Bob. Dan?
I guess the reason I'm running is I've been kind of involved in it in the background. I really like to see the residents get respect as much as the council get respect. Try to get people involved again. It's all about everybody that lives out here. I love it here. I'm not moving, I'm not leaving, I'm staying here till whenever, I like how it is. I like the way things are run. As far as businesses, they'll come. I mean, but I really want to say that we need to be involved the best we can. If I get elected, call me, email me. I'll do what I can. There's really good people here in good places. They need to be utilized. We need to keep them in their places. We need to enjoy our businesses here, especially $5 burgers, if that helps. That's about all I got. I think we need people for Booster Day, so like I say, there'll be a sign-up sheet on the way out. It's just a nice place to live. I like it here. I'm gonna do what I can to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
I'd just like to thank the chamber once again for putting this on. Thank you, residents, for coming out here and listening to us talk about our thoughts and wants and needs and whatever else comes out of our mouths. And again, I'm going to put in a plug for Booster Day. Please, we need volunteers. Please consider coming to a meeting, volunteering, get involved somehow. That's how I originally wound up staying up here. I volunteered to start on the planning and zoning, and I never had any aspirations for city council, but those things change. So again, I'm Brian Mundell. I'm running for city council. I have 12 years invested in serving the city with a proven track record of accomplishments, but there's always more to do to help our city succeed, from managing it professionally to having a vision for the city's future, and most importantly, to keep the rural elements as they are. I grew up here. I know East Bethel already has a charm to it. I never want to take that away. So if you'll have me, I ask for your vote this November, and thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve the city for 12 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne?
I too want to thank everybody here that took the time to come. I know it's getting late. I want to thank those of you who supported me, who have my signs. I appreciate it. I believe the council is here to represent residents, not the city. The way I see it, a lot of times the city brings something to the council rather than the council telling the city what to do. And the council jumps at what the city wants. Here, city comes and says, hey, let's develop this. And the council works to make that happen. And I think it should be the other way around. I have a rhetorical question for everybody. Where have you seen development decrease your taxes, decrease their taxes? Have Blaine's taxes gone down? Have Andover's taxes gone down? Rhetorical. Please plan to come to the Christmas tree lighting on December 6th. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
To close us out, land the plane. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Chamber of Commerce. Everybody here, appreciate you being here and the opportunity just to share who I am with the community. For me, East Bethel, the community that I'm in, it means more to me than people probably will ever know. It sparked a passion to want to commit and bring what I do in my day job, my day life, day in, day out, and bring that to the city and bring those tools, bring the thinking, bring the thoughts of, I'm not afraid to ask those questions, right? What are we asking the right questions to solve the right problems, right? Are we, we talk about development, we talk about wanting to build trust as a community. Quite honestly, building trust and communication, that's not an easy thing, and that's not something that, quite frankly, you can put on residents and people. You've got to go seek that. That's something I want to go seek and find to get those thoughts and pull that out. I know that's not an easy task, but that's what I do Monday through Friday, 80 hours a week, right? So bringing that business acumen, because yes, we want to be a rural, yes, I understand the type of residents and the people that live here, but we still need to make good decisions and good planning for the next 20 years. And I want my girls and my family to have this as a home for the next 20 years, to have that charm laid out in front of them. So we've got a strategic vision so we can execute on it. We're not lost in the wind and just hoping that tomorrow's just going to work out. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Mark.
$5
In closing,
burger.
I want to thank my VP, Candy, who's here, and the Treasurer, Wanda, for attending tonight and assisting here, and thank the residents for showing up, and thank you, candidates. You're running for a thankless job, a job that you will work hard at, and no matter what you do, someone's going to be very unhappy. So I commend you for your efforts and your vision and trying to make changes for the positive. Thanks for attending. Drive safe.